A fresh trade war between the U.S. and China has just kicked off.
More than a month ago, and now it is here. It's something that still...
In a dramatic escalation of trade tensions, President Donald Trump has introduced a second wave of tariffs targeting China, sending shockwaves through global markets. In response, China has promised countermeasures of its own, potentially intensifying the trade war and shaking up the global economy. But what's behind this renewed clash, and how might it escalate? Let's dive in. The second round of tariffs, announced by President Trump, introduces new 10% tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. This follows previous tariffs on Chinese imports, marking a continued effort to address what the U.S. calls China's aggressive trade practices. But the tariffs don't end there. There's also the possibility of raising tariffs further, up to 25–60%, targeting a wide range of products, from electronics to industrial materials. At the heart of this push is the U.S. claim that China's trade practices, including intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, and state subsidies, have been harming American businesses and workers for years. The Trump administration believes these tariffs are necessary to force China to the negotiating table and curb these practices. In response, China has promised to hit back with its own set of countermeasures, using familiar tactics from previous rounds of the trade war. First, China is expected to target U.S. agricultural exports, with a focus on products like soybeans, corn, and other key crops that are heavily produced in the U.S. Midwest, the heart of Trump's electoral base. By curbing these imports, China could deal a blow to American farmers, making them feel the pain of the tariffs. These agricultural restrictions are a critical lever for China, as U.S. farm exports have long been a significant trade component between the two nations. But China's counterattack might not stop there. China is also considering cutting back on its exports of high-tech materials critical to industries worldwide, including rare earths, semiconductors, and other technology inputs. These materials are essential for U.S. manufacturers, and China controls a significant portion of the global supply. If China decides to restrict these exports, it could have a major impact on the U.S. tech industry, slowing production of everything from smartphones to military equipment. The trade war also has a geopolitical edge. President Trump has tied China's trade policies to its stance on the opioid crisis. The U.S. accuses China of failing to curb the flow of fentanyl into the U.S., and the administration has warned that if China doesn't take stronger action on this front, it will face continued tariffs. Another flashpoint could be the aviation sector. While Boeing, an American company, has faced challenges in the past few years, Airbus, China's preferred supplier, stands to benefit from any restrictions on Boeing. A future struggle for major orders between these two global giants could worsen the trade tensions. The future of pharmaceutical exports is also uncertain. Both the U.S. and China rely on each other for key drugs and medical supplies. Trade restrictions could disrupt this supply chain, making access to affordable healthcare in both countries more difficult. The tariffs are bound to have significant economic consequences for both countries. For the U.S., higher tariffs on Chinese goods mean higher prices for consumers. We could see price hikes in everything from electronics to clothing, which could lead to inflation and put a strain on U.S. households. U.S. farmers are particularly vulnerable to China's agricultural restrictions. The backlash from Trump's base, many of whom are in rural America, could lead to growing domestic unrest, especially if farm income takes a hit. On China's side, the stakes are high as well. If China refuses to buy U.S. products, it risks slowing down its economy. However, it also faces the danger of losing foreign investment, as businesses seek more stable and predictable environments outside China. Comparing this new round of tariffs to the 2019 trade war, we ask, did anything change? While some temporary agreements were reached in 2019, many of the issues at the heart of the conflict remain unresolved. The ongoing disputes over intellectual property, forced technology transfers, and market access continue to shape the course of this new conflict. The cycle of tariffs, negotiations, and retaliation seems to be repeating itself. But as tensions escalate, the question remains, are both sides ready for a larger confrontation, or is there still room for compromise? Global markets are already reacting to the new wave of tariffs. Investors are worried about the impact of a prolonged trade war, fearing disruption to global supply chains, especially in industries that rely heavily on U.S. China trade. Europe, Asia, and other regions may either be caught in the crossfire or, in some cases, benefit from the shifting trade patterns. Countries outside of the U.S. and China could see opportunities arise as manufacturers look to diversify their supply chains and reduce their dependency on these two superpowers. But the global uncertainty could also have a destabilizing effect, leading to slower growth worldwide. So, what's the likely outcome of this renewed trade conflict? Could new negotiations bring a partial resolution? Or are we looking at a Cold War 2.0 scenario, where both sides dig in their heels, further escalating tensions? The U.S. may hold the upper hand with its global financial clout, particularly in the form of the U.S. dollar's dominance and its ability to influence financial markets. On the other hand, China's strength lies in its ability to produce cost-competitive goods and control crucial raw materials like rare earths. The real question is which side can withstand more pain, and whether they're willing to compromise for a long-term advantage. As tensions rise once again between the U.S. and China, the stakes have never been higher. With the potential for new tariffs, countermeasures, and global disruptions, the path ahead is uncertain. One thing is clear: this trade war will continue to shape the future of global markets for years to come.